my goal for this is to find out the extent of the project. I don't know if I have to order 5 pounds of seeds or 500 pounds of seeds. So because I keep getting lots of interest, but it hasn't settled down yet. So if you would bring up the slideshow. Yes.
Yeah. One moment. I'm setting up the poll.
I just don't want to try and share my screen. That got me really loused up last time.
Okay. Let's see. We bring up that PowerPoint. Bee introduction.
Yes, no, yes.
Share screen.
I wanted to share a little of my motivation for, yes.
There you go, Jay.
Yes, so you can go to the next slide. I've been doing children's play settings for the last 60 years. And so I've come to know them pretty well. And from everything from their intestines to their brain to their muscle joints and all that stuff. And this zooming is absolutely devastating for them because they have critical periods where they need to do things with other kids like rough and tumble play, and they're not getting that. So their executive function's not working real well. So the idea of the Behind the campaign is to get kids outside and doing something that's fun. So next slide, please. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, and there are the things that cause people who are neglected or abused as children to suffer very severe health impairments. It can mean as much as a 20-year reduction in their lifespan and a lifelong disabilities. It's one of the reasons why the Black and brown communities are so impacted by COVID. The expert on this is Dr. Harris, Nadine Harris. She had a clinic in San Francisco and wrote a book called The Deepest Well. She was dealing with all these kids that had problems. And she's now our state, and the first one, Attorney General, not Attorney General, Surgeon General. And she's good friends with Kamala Harris, I mean, our vice president, right? And you can see in the plans for the forthcoming, both the medical insurance and so forth, as well as the emphasis on early childhood and getting kids back to school, that she's already had a significant imprint on the policies for California. But we'll see in this presentation why that's important, why these ACEs are important, and what play can do around that. Next slide, please. So one of the first things is get kids outside. And you can see quickly there that there's a lot of benefits to it, and we can get into that. Every one of the slides that's here, I can give you copious links, all vetted for accuracy and usability. Next slide. For example, dirt's really important. It produces, as we'll see, some important organisms into our microbiome. And the stuff that goes on in your gut influences what's going on in your brain. They are closely tied together. People think of them as different systems. It's really all one system. Next slide, please. So the thing that's introduced there is it's called Microbacterium vaccae. And it's one of the reasons we like to garden, because you get high off or at least your mood swings towards the positive. You can't really be bummed out if you're out gardening. And a lot of that is because of the bacteria that you're ingesting. And it works really well with kids. Next slide. The idea is to create an interface between our knowledge base, which is all our good gardeners and garden clubs and that stuff, with the stores, the garden stores that they'll go to get their seeds and their plant materials and so forth. And we'll be putting up, if we get a good result from the businesses, we'll be putting up things that we did when I was working with the a Go Local campaign, which is things like shelf talkers and QR codes and that kind of stuff. Next slide. This is the tentative schedule. So we've got till March to try to get our seed order in and packaged up. The middle of the month, we start kids' activities, and that will be more explained in the next slide presentation. And then the one Zoom meeting that I'm hoping that the garden clubs will help us with is garden design and talking about creating bee-friendly gardens. So Lance, if you will switch to the next presentation. I think I can get through that in 5 minutes. We'll see. Is this all right?
Yeah, is that the campaign options?
Yes, campaign options. We're recording this, and it will be posted on our group web page, Facebook web page, so everybody will have access to it. So if you go to the next slide. These are the campaigns that I'm proposing. Nothing is written in stone. Everything is dependent on if people get excited about doing any of these projects. So we'll have a little survey at the end of the presentation, and you can weigh in on which things appeal to you. So there Be Local, which is a marketing campaign, business relationships with local businesses. The March of Seeds is a fundraising concept. Explorer Club is kids activities, as is the Maker Kids. Neighborhood sharing is about how we can grow things in one place and have people share the things that they're growing back and forth. And Paradise, Butterfly Paradise is a marketing thing that's for the county. So next slide, please. So we know that kids learn from doing this. I don't think I need to tell, I think I know everybody here, or most everybody here. So I think that that's probably good, but you see the combination of dirt and learning about pollinators and all that kind of stuff. the thing that happens with kids is if you just give them seeds and you put it in the ground, they don't, it takes too long, right? So we've got to solve that problem. Next slide, please. The other thing that happens with nature is, particularly if kids are able to get there on their own, they do a lot of risky play. And I think most of us will remember those days of risky play out in nature. And one of the points of the game is to get people so they're more comfortable. Today's children, Healdsburg is exceptional because we get a lot of kids walking, but in most cases, they in 2 generations, the distance from home has gone from 5 miles to less than 5 blocks in terms of the areas that they are able to navigate. Next slide, please. So the experience I had with doing the Go Local campaign was pretty exciting. And there's been a lot of other community activities. So we're just picking up on, and the way I've done this slide presentation is I'm designing these based on all of the things that in the county that are already in motion or have been done. So we're not having to invent anything. It's just, oh, it's just like iGrow, or oh, it's just like the Community Action Network. Mary's Garden is at the Children's Museum of Sonoma County. And they have a wonderful butterfly thing. So I've talked to Colette, and she is excited about having us come and be part of what goes on there. Next slide, please. So if we do something with the stores, it would work like this. We have a club. People get a paper card or cardboard card, or they can have it on their phone. They pick up a free seed. They go, and there's information attached to it. So you'll need compost, or you'll need irrigation. It'll have a list of stuff that you would like to have. You get the stuff that you want, that you don't have at home, that you'd like to get with that. You go to the front desk, you buy the stuff, and the retailer gives us a donation. It's like the Smile at Amazon, or what Oliver's does with their donations. It's the same kind of project, very simple, they're all used to it. And then you go home and you make your pollinator patch. Next slide, please. The fundraising idea is very similar to the March of Dimes, where people are able to give a very small amount, and it has a very direct impact. And it's a very powerful thing. Our Rotary organization, Rotary International, has come very close to eradicating polio, except in the areas that are ruled by the Taliban. Next slide. That's Elvis, by the way. So the way it works is, I'm calling it the March of Seeds. And what I'd like to see is every kid in the county gets seeds. Now, I don't know that we can do that this spring, but we can certainly plan it for the fall. Again, it goes to, I've got to rely on my friends who are gardeners to make a decision about whether we go now or not. We could go really small and just do seed giveaway at here in Healdsburg, or we could go longer, but it depends on the enthusiasm of the community. Next slide. The Explorer Kit Club is intended for both people who are working with kids in schools and in clubs, and for parents. Next slide. It's based, one of the games is based on geocaching. That's the model we're using, and if you don't know about it, we can do a whole lot of stuff, but there's some wonderful videos that show you exactly what happens. It's very easy to do. Next. Here's how it goes. There's an app on your phone. There's a map of the local caches. So we put out a dozen. Those dozen represent butterflies. You click start. Once you've chosen the one you want to go to, let's say you want to go to the monarch one, you have to follow the compass, and then somewhere around that location is a cache, and the cache is a box, as you see there. And in the box will be stamps for that butterfly. And it'll also say there's another game that happens after that, which I won't get into at the moment. And then you sign the logbook so we know who's been there. It's very simple. Next. The thing that's wonderful about this is it's all COVID easy. You're going with your pod, your parents and stuff like that. It's not big groups. The problem we had with the other stuff we were doing was really complicated. The other one is mapping. And this is for older kids where you use GPS, and there's wonderful science stuff that you can do with your smartphone. For example, where are the bees gathering now? And you can find that spot, mark it on the map, and then send that note out to other kids who are looking for those kinds of spots, so they can also record them, because there'll be like some kind of a reward for finding the best bee pollinator places. But that gets us a database that's really really powerful. If it's kept for 10 years, we'll know what the impact of the campaign is. We'll know how the population of pollinators is thriving or not thriving, and so forth. Next slide.
Hey, Jay, by the way, you're at about 20 past.
Yeah, I'm almost done. The maker kits is very straightforward. It's based on the maker thing. Next. These are the kinds of things that we would do. Little bee hotels, make buttons, make seed bombs and signs and seed tapes. Next. The other thing is the sharing one, and we like it because it's easy and feels good, and we get to find new stuff. The next slide. And to support that here is a sharing platform called Galora, or Galora, rather. And it's safe, it's completely local. So we have a site up. If you go to Galora and search for Healdsburg, you can sign up today and investigate that whole thing. So you can do all kinds of treasure hunts with that. It's a sharing platform. You could share books, for example. Next. This is the last one, and the idea is to follow Sarah Lee's inspiration about planting daffodils everywhere, but we're going to be planting pollinator plants everywhere, and we'll have maps to it. And it can be another reason to come to Sonoma County besides drink a lot of wine. You can actually have the teetotalers take the kids to do something else. All right, so that's where I am. Oh, this is the schedule. Don't worry about it, I'll send it to you. You can unmute folks.
Actually, they have to unmute themselves. I'm not allowed to unmute people anymore.
Okay, okay.
The security thing.
What do you think? Any reactions? Have I blown you away?
I really like the whole idea of getting the kids outside.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Charity. I'm the children's librarian in Healdsburg.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I used
Yeah.
to hang out there a lot. I was trying to do a children's book.
Yeah, I remember speaking with you about that many years ago. But anyways, I'm really excited to hear all the different ideas that you all are doing. And I've been the children's librarian here in Healdsburg for about 10 years. And like you're speaking about the Zooming, and I kind of made a commitment at the beginning of January that the programs that I would programs and events that we can do at the library, because right now we're still closed and we're not doing in-person programming, would be things that families could do outside together, kits that they can pick up. So then when Greta tuned me into what you all were doing, I'm just really happy to be connected with all of you. I love the idea about getting the kids outside. I went geocaching with my kids this weekend for the first time. And that first geocache was they were so excited. They were so pumped. They wanted to go and find more. So we found 3, and that was really fun. And just all of the opportunities to get them outside. So I'm just really interested in this project and interested in collaborating and see how the library can work with you all.
We could tie the caches to books that you have. So you'll have them at different age groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could do all manner of different kinds of caches. This is the kind of thing that get the kids out into the community, feeling safe, being able to go with their parents a couple of times. And then when the folks figure out, oh, you're going over to Badger Find, that's more than you've ever done on your own, but you can do that now. And tying it in with, because most of the kids these days, by the time they're 8 or 9, they've got access to a cell phone, even if it's borrowing the folks. So there are ways that can happen easily. You want to run the survey?
Sure, pop that up.
I might actually come in on time. I was hoping I could do it in half an hour.
There we are.
So the way this goes, you just pick the things that you're interested in, and we'll be able to get a tally a lot. It's not giving us all. It's giving only one.
Oh, hold on. You can only click one option?
Yeah.
All right, let me fix that.
Don't try this without having an IT genius on your side. Lance has been my savior so many times, I can't tell you. I've
Jay,
got to
I was
figure
with the business.
Pardon?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I was with a business owner in downtown Healdsburg yesterday, and he was looking around. We were sitting outside at one of those little parklet things, having a drink, and he was like, every business would be in. You could have a designated pot in a certain color with a little sign on it saying that this is a pollinator thing. And as people are standing outside, and they'll be looking and saying, oh, these, they could identify the flowers. They would understand that it's not just green stuff to keep you to look good, but it actually serves a purpose. And he thought that would be really cool, because we were just right on Plaza Street, and there's tons of plants all over the place right now.
Well, most plants do pollinate. So we don't have to even bother about putting them in. We could just do signage around town.
Yeah.
This thing, I do really complex places. It's really complex. This is so freaking easy that we started 3 weeks ago, and we've got the concepts, we've got most of the infrastructure in place. There's a buzz about it. It's just trying to mesh, and this is the goal that we have here with Rotary. We've got information here, we've got need over here. We want to bring those together with connections that are vital. And so that's what the whole point of the website is. Just post stuff there. It will become a place, hopefully, if you need something, you can post it and people will respond. I'm getting the stuff I get on Next Door Neighborhood and what's happening in Healdsburg is incredible. I've gotten 400 or 500 responses. Oh yeah, I want to be on it. Well, I want to be on it, but I can't get my information to them yet. So the thing that I have to do is now reach out to the people who have newspapers and that kind of stuff. There are people representing all of the, I've got ties with most of the people that are representing or writing for the press. And so I'll reach out for them, but I'm just one person. It takes a while to get it going.
Say, Jay,
Yeah.
I was thinking that we're working with Town of Windsor. Windsor Garden Club's working with Town of Windsor Park and Rec.
Mhm.
They're going to put out a kit around Earth Day. But Parks and Rec, I don't know how Healdsburg works, but it's probably pretty similar. You can send out information about things of family interest, especially, and if if they think that it would be valuable for the community, they're really looking for things to get the kids, give the kids something to do. And so I think it would fit right in. They could maybe provide a little flyer, or the library would be great. So
There are two things that are lighting a fire under me. One is the fact that it's spring and everything is happening, but the other is school's going to be out. And when schools go out, if you think the parents are pulling their hair out now, we can have the kids without Zoom classes. So let's see if it works now. Yep, it does.
Everyone can vote but me. It turns out the host can't vote.
You can't vote, huh?
Nope, not one of my options.
If you get to a dozen. No, if you get to 11.
We have 8 votes in.
All right, we're almost done then.
9.
Jay, I was wondering too. I don't know if you've looked at the National Wildlife Federation. They have a great, how people have been fixing up their backyards. They have a great part on their website where they talk about creating natural play spaces for outdoor play, backyard.
I have it.
Yeah. And that I don't know if that's anything you would want to look at and draw on, or make available as a resource.
Yeah, I've been struggling to sort of do a mea culpa because I invented those playgrounds that you see now, all the metal ones, and they're everywhere. I can't go any place in the whole planet and not see my stuff, and it's so over. So I'm working with the largest playground company and Kaboom to do play everywhere. And this experience is a play everywhere kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to do. Libraries should be play spaces, all that kind of stuff. Well, look at this. Very interesting. So one of the things I have been noticing is I've got people who are really interested in kids and people who are really interested in gardening. And so my tendency is to kind of bifurcate the group, because I don't know how long this effort's going to go. I think the garden clubs will take over the gardening part of it, and the people who are educators and parents and stuff will do the kids side, and I think they'll still cross-pollinate, so to speak, but I don't think that that we'll be able to stay on track as a single unit going forward. So any other questions?
So I was curious, as far as the seeds, are the seeds all coming from the pollinator project?
We've got $250. There's some conversation about more. That will buy us enough to put something like 100 packets together. We'll have them at ACE. I can have them there by the end of next week. So we can just do Healdsburg. And that may be all we need to do at this point. I feel very badly about the fact that the only things in there are some of the late blooming plants.
Well,
that
that's
would be-
okay, because it'll have time to grow then.
Pardon?
It'll have time to grow, you know.
Yeah. The way I want to handle that, though, is to have them start the seeds and then put them and then nurture them up and then plant them as pots, as opposed to just sowing them in the ground, so they can speed up the process. And it makes it visible. If you just plant them in the ground, it's a one-time thing and it lasts 20 minutes. And then they go away and they forget it.
You know, why don't we check with a landscaper to make sure, just because some things prefer being direct seeded because the roots, especially wild things, the roots develop so quickly that if you put them in a pot, they can have a hard time. They don't like being transplanted. Could I be involved with you later after
Yeah.
consulting with someone? And which seed mix are you using from the Pollinator Project people?
I'm not afraid of failure. That's one of the things I've really brought to the playgrounds that I've designed. I want kids to be able to fail and fail a lot, because that's how you learn. I mean, I'm telling you right now, every pet you've ever had, other than the one that's in your house right now, all of those pets are dead. And you learn something from those dead plants, the dead plants and dead pets. You were negligent, they grow old, they get tumors, they get, you learn all that stuff. And it's one of the reasons you want to get kids involved with nature, because that's how you learn. I've learned so much from hunting. I learned I didn't want to hunt because I found out what those animals were doing. It's a lot of stuff that you have to go through. And if you don't have access to nature, you don't get that empathy and that knowledge. So it's really important for us to get the kids out, and preferably without adult supervision, so they can really kind of stick it out there a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing is, if especially younger children, they love to water things. They love to hold the hose and water. So if they did have like a 25 square foot garden where they had seeded plants and they stood out there once or twice a day and kept it moist, it might be satisfying on that level because they get some water play. But that's
the whole point of the campaign, is how do you water something when it's in a fragile state? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize they were so vulnerable. Well, you saw them when you took them out of the plastic bag. They had all those little roots. You put those in there. Now they're uncovered again. They haven't had a chance. That conversation is the conversation that you have with your folks as you're doing this thing. So that's the whole point of the process, is to expose it that way. I've got a lot more detail on this. I'll start posting it to our website. We will post this survey again. The presentation will go up on the website. So we'll begin to generate interest. And I hope you're all comfortable, because we've recorded this. I'd like to put the presentation up as well. We can edit it down. If you're not, let me know now, and we will not do it. We all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I get one of those? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I promised it wouldn't be more than, keep it short. So if you don't have any other questions, no more questions, I guess, drop it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Great job.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.